All right, let's talk about two words that, they can make even the most experienced investor's stomach drop. Market crash, right? It just sounds like the end of the world, like a complete system failure. But what if? What if it's not? Let's really get into this. Okay, this quote, this completely changes the game. It's saying that crashes aren't some random disaster that we should be terrified of. No, they're more like predictable seasons, things you can actually prepare for. Now, that is a huge mindset shift. So let's break down what that really means. So, first things first, we have got to bust the biggest myth out there. The idea that a market crash is just some kind of freak accident, a glitch in the financial matrix that we just have to cross our fingers and hope we can somehow avoid. And look, it's totally understandable why we feel that way. I mean, when you see those charts just plunging into the red and the headlines are screaming about trillions of dollars just vanishing, yeah, it absolutely feels like something has gone terribly fundamentally wrong, like the whole machine just broke down. But here's the big idea, the core of this whole thing. What if these crazy downturns aren't a bug in the system? What if they're actually a feature? A necessary, built-in part of how a healthy market actually works in the long run. Okay, to really get our heads around this, let's use an analogy. It's a pretty powerful one. I want you to think of a market crash, not as a building collapsing in on itself, but as a forest fire. I know, that sounds terrifying, but just stick with me here. So check this out. On the surface, a forest fire looks like pure destruction, right? And a market crash feels absolutely catastrophic. But think about what a fire actually does in an ecosystem. It clears out all the dead wood, all the underbrush that's choking out new life. Well, a market crash does the exact same thing. It burns away all that speculative craziness, all the overhyped companies that weren't really built to last. And here's the most important part. After the fire, the ground is actually fertile, it's ready for new, healthy growth. A crash, believe it or not, creates incredible opportunities for those who are ready for it. So, here's the bottom line. Nobody likes a fire, but it's a totally natural and frankly essential part of a healthy ecosystem. And in the very same way, market crashes are a natural part of the financial ecosystem. They're basically a reset button. All right, so maybe you're thinking, okay, that's a nice story, a cool metaphor, but where's the proof? Great question. Let's dig into the actual historical data, and you'll see this isn't just a story, it's a repeating, predictable pattern. Let's just get this out in the open, because it's probably the most important thing to really let sink in. Crashes are normal, period. They're not the exception to the rule. They are the rule. They've happened over and over again, and you can bet they will absolutely happen again. And this just perfectly illustrates that pattern. I mean, just look at this timeline of the big ones. 1987, 2000, 2008, 2020. You can literally see a rhythm here, can't you? These aren't just random events scattered across time. They show up in a surprisingly regular sequence. So the next one, well, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. And if you average it out, you can expect a major downturn roughly every 7 to 10 years. Now, once you really know that, once it clicks, it stops being this terrifying out-of-the-blue surprise, and it starts becoming, well, a predictable event. You know winter is always coming. Okay, so this brings us to a really critical point. If the crash itself is just a normal cyclical thing, then what's the real danger? Where's the trap? Well, it's not the fire itself. It's how you react when you first smell the smoke. The number one thing that destroys wealth during a downturn has a name. It's called panic selling. It's a pure gut reaction, right? You see all that red on the screen, you get scared, and you hit sell on everything to stop the bleeding. But here's the brittle truth. What you're actually doing is taking a temporary, on-paper loss and making it a permanent, real-life loss. So let's be super clear about this. The crash itself isn't the main problem. The real problem is bad timing. And that timing is almost always driven by fear. Selling everything when the market hits bottom and then missing out on the recovery that always follows, I mean, that is the classic mistake. It's what separates the people who build wealth from, well, everyone else. And this simple chart just says it all, doesn't it? You've got investor A, who feels the fear, for sure, but they hold on. They trust the cycle. Then there's investor B, who panics and sells out near the bottom. Fast forward 5 years, and the difference in what their portfolios are worth is just staggering. And listen, this isn't about being smarter. It's about being more disciplined. It's about refusing to let fear make your financial decisions for you. So, if we know the fire is coming, what do we do about it? How do we get ready? Well, you don't just sit around and wait to smell smoke. You make a plan. You basically become a financial firefighter. And it's a pretty simple 3-step plan. Step 1, just accept the cycle. Mentally just know that downturns are going to happen. That way, you're not surprised. Step 2, build your cash fire extinguisher. This is so important. Having cash ready protects you in an emergency so you don't have to sell, and it lets you go on the offensive. And step 3, make your wish list. Figure out now what great companies or assets you'd love to own so that when they go on a massive sale during a crash, you're ready to buy instead of panic.
You know, when you do this, it brings us back to that bigger idea we started with. This kind of preparation, it's more than just investing. It's really about stewardship. It's about responsibly managing what you have through all the seasons, the good times and the bad, with a little bit of wisdom and foresight.
So I'll leave you with this final thought. We know from history, it's not a guess, the next financial fire is coming. So the only real question is, when it gets here, are you going to be the person running from the smoke, or are you going to be the one ready with seeds in your hand, prepared to plant the forest for the next generation of growth? Really, the choice is yours.